Server Slam 2023, the third beta that is able to be played for Diablo 4 and the second open beta. I want to get our first impressions here. I had fun with this one. Bob and Richard, what were your first impressions for the Server Slam?
I'd
I
say
had a great. Oh, go ahead, Bob.
I enjoyed it a lot. In terms of between the last beta and this one, it was basically the same for me because I'm not doing any story missions or anything. You know, I'm just kind of leveling up. I'm saving that for the release. But I was impressed how, for considering it was a server slam, there was no wait times at all. Like you log right in, and you know it gave you a good opportunity to see the different classes and all the reworks worked out. But I had a lot of fun. It was a good time.
And we're going to talk about those reworks in a moment. But Richard, I want to get your first impression from the Server Slam.
Yeah, as Bob was saying, right? No real lag issues logging in, no queues, no anything like that. So I think they got their stuff together, or they had a lot less people logging in, right, with the release of Zelda this weekend and Mother's Day. But I've been playing the Druid class, and to get into a little bit of the changes that happened there, they did improve the Druid a little bit, but it still feels a little squishy. So hoping they do a little bit more there, or it gets better over time. But overall, it was a good experience. I like the loot rate drop that they have now, right? I like that the legendaries don't show up every hour or so. It takes quite a bit of effort to get a legendary, so you get a little bit more excited when you find those things.
Makes them more legendary indeed. And also, guys, did you drop camera? Because I'm only seeing my camera. Okay, we're back. We're back with the camera.
Yeah, no,
Okay.
no, I just turned mine off because I have never played Diablo.
Oh no, yeah, you guys can stay on this and contribute as needed. All right, we will return here to this update. Let's talk about some of the changes that came into Server Slam that Blizzard introduced, having received feedback from the last two betas. I'll start with the first one, and these were actually reiterated at the May 10th Diablo 4 developer stream that happened 11 a.m. that day, Pacific Standard Time. The first is the reworked dungeons to create opportunity for less backtracking to take place. I myself and Richard, Bob, we went through a handful of dungeons. I did not feel the backtracking like I did in the first two betas that
Agreed.
we tried. How about you two?
Yeah, I honestly don't know if I did any backtracking. Yeah, they do a nice job of closing the loops of where you need to go, and the only time I kind of went back is just to explore the other half of the circle, I guess. But I thought the dungeons were a lot better this time.
Agreed. And I also like that, like, enemies in certain dungeons, your requirement for beating the dungeon is to kill all the enemies inside there, right? And so they would have the enemies come to you rather than you having to go search them out, which was also kind of helpful too. So yeah, definitely an A+ on dungeon design now.
Yeah, completely agree there. And I almost felt it was slightly circular. We weren't moving quite straight, but it may have been one particular dungeon. But I did sense there was a reworking that took place. It was apparent to me. I'm interested in the comments what others thought. Moving on to the next one, there were, and these are some of the highlights from the long list that Blizzard provided in a previous episode of Last Week in Gaming. We did talk about what Blizzard was going to do that would go into the launch, but ended up going into the Server Slam for the most part. The added barbarian buffs is one. Now, I was a barbarian. I didn't play as a barbarian in the last two, and I did not die frequently in the dungeons. Now, I understand there are other individuals that play as a barbarian. They may have likely did much better than I did, but the experience I had was, even with that close combat, only being able to get to the level cap of 20, I wasn't dying left and right in the dungeon. So I do think there was good work that was put there, and that is an overall effort to balance the classes as well, so that one is not necessarily OP compared to the other classes. The next one is the decreased frequency for the legendary items to drop. Richard, you touched on this. This is going to be alike to the game's release, and I completely agree that legendary items, they should take somewhat of a grind to get and acquire, and it makes it all the more special and all the more legendary. There were also new control options, performance fixes, graphic settings for PC players, including DLSS version 3. I actually did enable DLSS with my 3080 Ti, and I did see a 20 frame bump in doing that. And now I did have it on quality and not on balance or performance. But I'm interested in the comments what individuals thought for DLSS that enabled that. Let's see what else here I have. And I found it interesting from the developer stream that Rod Ferguson joked that the Necromancer class is the best class in the game, despite all of the overall balancing that's being done. I'm wondering if he was referring to or alluding to the Book of the Dead that the Necromancers can use, but he did not specify. Richard and Bob, do you want to transition to talking about also in the development stream, using what we learned from the development stream? What's next for the game, the seasons, the battle pass? What are your thoughts on how this game is looking for launch?
I think.
For
Go ahead.
launch, I think it's looking good, right? I'm completely satisfied at this point. I wish I got to see other aspects of the world than just the one that they locked us into
Fractured
for these
Peaks.
3 betas, right? It would have been nice to go to other lands. But I'm excited. I think the developers have done a really good job. I think they did a good job of listening to the fan base. And again, the loot's right. The gameplay feels right. Just kind of waiting to get into it.
I'm excited
Yeah.
for launch. Bob, go ahead.
Yeah. I think the game is, as ready to go as you can get a game for launch. I didn't really experience any bugs, maybe one or two small ones, but nothing major. The only thing I might have a problem with, and I know it's been a hot topic, is the seasons. I'm not sold on a hard reset of the level. I know that I guess this is a Diablo thing for the seasons from 3, maybe. This is also my first Diablo game. I haven't played any other.
During the stream, not to interject, Bob, but during the
you're
stream, Joe Pipiore and the others there, Rod Ferguson, they talked about how the seasons, they're going to use Diablo 3, the seasons in Diablo 3. There's going to be a similarity between how those work and drawing elements, attributes of those seasons into Diablo 4. Now, to the extent, I don't know, but that at least was just mentioned. Anyways, other thoughts there, Bob?
All right, and I think there could be a nice middle ground of, somehow making the game more challenging enemies, a different difficulty tier or something, that it's not just a hard reset every 3 months. Because I'll give it a go. I'm not going to be completely turned off, but I'll try it out and see what happens. But they have ways to respec your character as often as you want. So I just don't understand why a hard reset has to be done.
See, I think it's a good idea because it keeps you more engaged and it kind of forces you to play other characters that you might not necessarily have gone with out of the get-go, right? I mean, there's going to be a point where you get kind of tired of playing the same class over and over and over again.
Maybe,
whether it's forced upon you or not, I can kind of understand that, but I don't know.
We'll see.
From what you're seeing, Brian and Zach, does it make you want to get into Diablo 4 any?
It's funny. I was just going to say that I am a fan of Overwatch, also made by Blizzard. My girlfriend loves Overwatch and WoW, and you'll always get quality from a Blizzard product. As gamers, we always like to complain about our favorite games, but that's just our relationship. But you're always going to get quality and depth with a Blizzard product.
Our expectations are so high. We want the best. So we're hard on the developers to give us that. That resonates. Brian, thoughts? Can I get you to jump into this game and create the Indomitable character class?
So I did play Diablo 3 for a little while. Went through the campaign 3 times because that's what you do in Diablo. Is just keep going through the campaign, and I lost interest completely. I didn't even make it to season 2. I didn't know there were seasons in Diablo 3. So essentially, Diablo 4 seems like it's going to be a lot of the same with the extra pain of, hey, we're also going to reset your level. And I can't get behind that. Like if World of Warcraft did that every time, I would lose my mind.
I really like the
I mean,
go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
Even when they did the level squish in World of Warcraft, I'll bring up World of Warcraft, another Blizzard product that they should have learned this lesson from. They do these things on occasions called level squishing. And long story short, Blizzard got to a point where the max level cap was 120. And essentially they just said, hey, we this is getting kind of ridiculous. How much higher are we going to go? We're not Elder Scrolls. So they turned around and they decided to squish the levels back down. And it upset a lot of people because you're talking hundreds and hundreds of hours to get your level to max level for expansion after expansion after expansion. And then they're going to turn around and say, yeah, we're bumping you all back down. So and the way it worked was it wasn't even the same amount of experience points that are required to get to max level cap. So the new players coming in could get to max level in the same time it would have taken you to just get from the expansion point where the expansion kicked in to the top level. So they started alienating a lot of folks in World of Warcraft too, and I haven't gone back to that one either. So I just think I think Blizzard, Activision, and now Microsoft in cahoots, that it's just, I don't see a good future.
This is a great dynamic, though, that we have here. This idea of retiring characters or classes that we build or actual builds within the game after so many seasons. We don't have to within that next season, but there seems to be an interest where these builds are eventually going to go in the Eternal Realm, and then during that season, you will build a new character and be able to extract attributes from those previous classes, almost like a big box of Legos that you collect. You throw them all in there, and then you take them out. But to the point that Richard and Brian were making, to each their own on the arguments here, is it going to discourage players to have to do that? You put in all this work. You don't want to see that character go. Yes, you do get to keep it in the Eternal Realm, but can you use it again? The impression is no, but you can draw attributes from it. I'm interested to see what's going to happen. It's not going to discourage me ultimately to play the game, but I am perplexed and interested in how this is going to work.
I think if you're a Diablo fan, like if you've just grown up with the series and played them all the way through, it won't be as discouraging. But for me, as someone who's never played the series and who's into this game and loving it, I think those people could get turned off pretty quickly by the constant reset.
And I do think it's interesting that during the developer stream, it was accentuated that during that immediate next season, you don't have to retire the character right then. But there was the impression given that eventually during a season, you will need to do that. There is opportunity, though, at least the impression I got from the developer stream is the introduction to new seasonal content can encourage you and captivate you to create a new build, perhaps with a new class that's introduced instead of the ones that we have, the Necromancer, the Druid, etc. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, that's the viewpoint that I kind of take, because I don't want to play the same character over and over and over and over again.
Yeah.
I think that'd get boring quicker than, or be more upsetting and make me lose interest in the game quicker than it would if I had to switch characters up
You have to choose
every season or so.
Yeah, if you have to
But
choose
yeah,
between the only ones that are available now,
Yeah.
I can see that. To
And I can
Brian's
see
point.
that also where they're going to expand, right? They have like a depth of characters from other games that they can choose from like that who is it? They have like the Amazonian, they have the Paladin. They've got a ton of different characters, and anybody new that they could be making, right? There's been rumors about like a Dark Knight. So I'm looking forward to it. Let's see what they do. It'll be a process, like anything else that they kind of do at this point.
Well, Brian's not convinced. Blizzard should be worried. Blizzard should be shaking in their boots. That's my opinion right there. They have their work cut out for them. Zach, any other comments on Diablo 4 and whether you're going to enter the main?
Now I've been watching these videos. It looks fun. I'm a different kind of gamer, as you know. I remember watching the first trailer for Diablo 4 with my girlfriend and being like, "Oh man, that looks pretty awesome."
It captivated me
but-
at the Xbox Game Show last year, I think in 2022.
Yeah, I love the art style. Like I said, I'll sing Blizzard's praises for Overwatch as much as people like I say love to complain about their games, but I'll certainly complain when they get it wrong. But it's a good product when you get something from Blizzard. So I have no doubts that they're going to push this when it's ready, as it sounds like it's ready.
And you know what? I will tell you one thing about all Blizzard games. Their cutscenes, for the actual cinematic
Amazing.
cutscenes, they are the most beautiful cutscenes you'll see in a video
I
game.
have to
Yeah.
agree
Yeah.
with you on
The
that.
intro, best one of all time. The intro to Wrath of the Lich King.
Yeah, that was a great one.
Just the combination of the music and the cinematography, and it was also like the first one that came out in 1080p. So it was like you got the nice monitor because World of Warcraft was finally 1080p, and you're watching this cutscene in 1080p, and it's just beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, the intro, one of the introductory scenes to Diablo 4, where Lilith returns and she descends down and talks to one of the priests, and that was stunning. It really was. It had that dark yet aesthetic feel. So I agree with Brian wholeheartedly on that.
also Nightmare Fuel Flesh Web. Like that whole cutscene, like that Nightmare Fuel like flesh web that just kind of appears with the sacrifices.
It's stunning. Yeah. Blizzard, great job. But you should be worried. Brian's not convinced. But keep up. Keep up with the beautiful cinematic scenes. That is our Diablo 4 Server Slam and season analysis from what we understand from the developer stream. That is our update for that.